الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, all praise is due to Allah. We ask Allah to exalt the mention and grant peace and send His blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who's got it like you? I'm serious. Who's got it like you? Don't believe them. Don't believe them. And don't be deceived by them. They are simply jealous. They're upset. They're enraged. About to lose their minds. They've tried everything. They've tried everything to delude you. They keep trying, and they will keep trying. They're running out of ideas though. Plotting, scheming, day and night. Plotting and scheming day and night, around the clock. They can't stand you. They can't stand your hijab. They can't stand your jilbab, or even your regular thiyab. You know what thiyab means, right? Clothes. They're the ab. The ab, the ib. They're wolves. They claim that they want to liberate you, as if Islam imprisoned you. While the truth is that Islam liberated you after they imprisoned you. Who's got it like you? Sister in Islam. You are the queen and the princess. You're the jewel and the pearl. It boils down to this. Who do you trust? Who do you trust and who do you believe? Allah or the shayateen? Who do you trust and who do you believe? Allah or the shayateen? Do you really trust people who deceived other people to the extent that what is normal? Look, I'm going to give an example which men are not allowed to imagine. Don't visualize and don't create an image in your mind, okay? Because I don't want to be the reason behind it. But let me tell you how ridiculous things are, just so you will know what kind of world we're living in. A woman may wear a bikini as long as she is near the water. She's at the beach. Is that considered to them abnormal? No. However, if she were to wear regular underwear and a bra in the same location, people will look at her like, what is wrong with this lady? She's naked. The change of fabric makes that crime either acceptable or unacceptable. And same goes for many places. If the people are at the beach, they're naked, wearing bikinis, fine. Let them go to the supermarket with a bikini, they're like, what is this? Even the disbelievers with their craziness and their carelessness, still, the vast majority will say, there's a naked lady here. And they would wish that she would leave the supermarket. However, when they were at the beach, no one complained. In fact, they wear the same clothes. You see how silly this is? Now, do we have this in Islam? You can be naked if you're near the water, and if you're on land, then it's haram? Your awra is your awra. Huh? It doesn't change because of geographical location or whether there's an ocean or not. But we have been brainwashed to this extent. It's fine to see a naked woman if she's wearing a bathing suit, but as if it's an underwear and bra, no. This is a big no. Are you going to believe these kind of people? This mentality, this ideology, this wickedness? Sister in Islam, don't do it. Allow me to quickly share with you what Islam has given you. Whether you are a mother, if you are a mother, then you ought to know that Allah Azza wa Jal gave special recommendations and obligations in His book and upon the tongue of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ensuring your right. It wasn't any feminine group, activists, or some other organization that are for pro-feminism, that trying to defend women. No. Allah Himself said in the Quran, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. And we have enjoined upon man being dutiful to his parents. Then He specified the mother. His mother bore him in hardship and weakness upon hardship and weakness. And his weaning is in 2 years. That you should be thankful to me and your parents. To me is your final return. And there are many ayat as well, but the time doesn't allow. This was in Luqman, ayah 14. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "Man ahaqqu an-nasa bi husni sahabati?" Who is most deserving of my good companionship? قال أمك. He said, your mother. قال ثم من? Then who? He said, قال ثم أمك. He said, then your mother again. He said, قال ثم who? ثم من? عفوا. Then who? And English and Arabic got mixed up. Then who is after? A third time he said, قال أمك. 3 times. Your mother, your mother, your mother. قال ثم من? قال ثم أبوك. Then your father. So as much as the father has a right, the mother has that right times 3. Not that the father has a quarter of a right. He has a right and the mother's right is multiplied by 3. Versus a lousy $20 or 20 riyal or 20 pounds gift on Mother's Day. Last minute shopping, find some flowers from the cheapest place, some chocolate, whatever it is. Here, okay? Don't say that I wasn't a good son. I gave you a gift on Mother's Day. What else do you want? And when she becomes old, he will put her in an old aged home. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ اللَّهِ. That's what Islam gave you. And the hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. If you're a daughter, then know that Allah Azza wa Jal will question the people who used to kill their daughters at young age, as in the times of Jahiliyyah. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. When the child which was buried alive will be asked, what was the sin? In which crime, due to which crime was she killed? And obviously she had no crime. So Allah Azza wa Jal defended the women who used to be buried alive. Not only among the Arabs, by the way. Not only among the Arabs. In many, many cultures and societies, women are considered to be a dishonor to the family. A calamity upon the family because of what she may do in the future. Whenever Fatima radiallahu anha would come into the room, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand up. He would welcome her. He would kiss her and offer her his place to sit. Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever has 3 daughters and he shelters them, bearing their joy and sorrow with patience, Allah will admit him to paradise by virtue of His compassion towards them. That's it. 3 daughters, take care of them and help them out until they are mature, and you're guaranteed a place in paradise. A man asked, what if he only has 2? He said, even if they're only 2. Alhamdulillah. Even if they're only 2. So all those who have 2 daughters are happy now. Yeah, but we got to do the job first. Got to take care of them. Another man asked, what if he only has 1? He said, even if he has only 1. So 1 daughter is your ticket to paradise. Now which religion offers that because of a girl? None. None. As a wife, Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Surah number 30, ayah 21. And among His signs is that He created from yourselves spouses, so that you may have second, you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you compassion and mercy, love actually. Mawadda is love. Wadud, mawadda, yawaddu, ila akhirih. Extreme love. Wa rahma. So Allah Azza wa Jal made the wife, the spouse of the man, means for him to find tranquility, and the same thing for her. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahun. You clothing to one another. Go back to the lecture. Clothing to one another, so that it is a mutual thing between the spouses. Aisha narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khayrukum khayrukum li ahlihi wa ana khayrukum li ahli." The best of you are those who are best to their wives, and I am the best to my wives. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith al-sahih. And he's saying this not boasting, but this is the favor of Allah Azza wa Jal and an example to be followed. He said this so he can be followed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to show us that he's not only speaking about these things, he's actually exemplifying them. He's living up to them. He's doing them in his life. We, on the other hand, we do the talk, but we can't walk the walk. We don't do the job as we're supposed to. We ask Allah to forgive us. So, this is only brief, very brief, because time doesn't really allow to elaborate. But let me tell you, on the other hand, something about women in the past. Women in ancient civilization. Describing the status of Indian women, okay? We're not picking on Indians here, okay? I'm going to tell you all kinds of backgrounds. This is the Encyclopedia Britannica. It states, in India, subjection was a cardinal principle. Day and night must women be held by their protectors in a state of dependence, says Manu. The rule of inheritance was agnatic, that is, descent traced through the males with the exclusion of females. Yani the inheritance is only through the males. The female has no part of this. Doesn't get a penny or a halala. In Hindu scriptures, the description of a good wife is as follows. Check it out now. A woman whose mind, speech, and body are kept in subjection, acquires high renown in this world and in the next, the same abode with her husband. So if everything she has is submitted to her husband completely, including her mind, her speech and her body, then she's good to go. Otherwise, she has to find somewhere else. In Athens, women were not better off than either the Indian or the Roman women. Athenian women were always minors, subject to some male, to their father, to their brother, or to some of their male kin. Her consent in marriage was not generally thought to be necessary, and she was obliged to submit to the wishes of her parents and receive from them her husband and her lord, even though he were a stranger to her. A Roman wife was described by a historian as a babe here, not in the modern meaning, okay, because some of the shabab may have been watching I don't know what, and so when they hear babe, they think of something else. Babe is a baby. A minor, a ward, a person incapable of doing anything, or of doing or acting anything according to her own individual taste, a person continually under the guardianship of her husband. In the Encyclopedia Britannica, again, we find a summary of the legal status of women in the Roman civilization. In Roman law, a woman was even in historic times completely dependent. If married, she and her property passed into the power of her husband. She and her property become the property of her husband. The wife was the purchased property of her husband, and like a slave, acquired only for his benefit. A woman could not exercise any civil or public office, could not be a witness, surety, tutor. She could not adopt or be adopted or make will or contract. Nothing, in other words. Now, the position of the church is not any better. Because some think that Christians are the ones who liberated the women. Huh? Yeah, those are the Christians who go against Christianity. The Christians who actually go against the Bible and the traditional old church are the ones who have liberated women in their definition of liberation, which we call is really imprisonment. But if you want to go to the orthodox, genuine, authentic teachings of the church, then you will get it from a guy like Tertullian, who said, do you know that you are each in Eve, speaking to the woman, in Eve as in Adam's wife. The sentence of God on the sex of yours lives in this age, the guilt must of necessity live too. You are the devil's gateway. You are the unsealer of that forbidden tree. You are the first deserters of the divine law. You are she who persuades him whom the devil was not violent enough to attack. You destroyed so easily God's image, man. On account of your desert, that is death, even the Son of God had to die. This is all in their, kufr understanding. Not only did the church affirm the inferior status of women, it deprived her of legal rights she had previously enjoyed. So basically Eve was the evil temptress because of her. Even in the Bible, it blames Eve for what happened in terms of eating from the forbidden tree. According to the Bible, it is in Genesis chapter 2 verses 4 and 3 and 24. Genesis chapter 2 verse 4 and chapter 3 verse 24. It said, when God rebuked Adam for what he did, he put all the blame on Eve. The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. Consequently, God said to Eve, according to them, I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you. That's the Bible, which the Christians don't like to quote nowadays. Because if you were to quote the Bible, then they will have nothing left. They will have to leave Christianity, which is not very, compatible with their present choices. Ala kulli hal, until 1887, women were not allowed to own property. Then afterwards, they started to, be a little more flexible. And then they said, okay, we'll let her have some property. And then after they let her have some property, they went all the way. They said, you know what, we might as well have some fun. Let's have some fun. I mean, men love women, right? You're not supposed to answer that one. It's a trick question. As soon as you said right, if you had a wife, you're done tonight. So, I heard you say right when he's asked that question. The truth is, yes, and women like men, as Allah created us. We're not going to deny that. But we have channels in Islam for someone to exercise what is lawful. So they said, let's just bring this woman and utilize her to the utmost. So let her wear a suit. So now you see women with suit. Pants and, the tie and the shirt and the whole 9 yards. And she has a suitcase and she's traveling on business trips. What happened? She's with the men mixing and doing business deals and transactions and everything. Not that business is haram, but then why do the men want the woman around? Because amongst themselves they say, she doesn't know anything, man. She's too soft. But they like her presence for other reasons. And you know what's going on in the world, I don't have to tell you. So it's all a scheme actually. It's a scheme and the woman has been trapped. She's been trapped without knowing. So you see all these women that come and sing and dance and get in these soap operas, they really think that they're doing something, and the only thing they're doing is presenting themselves before men who don't care much, except for what is beneficial for them. Unlike the Muslim man, who goes beyond these superficial issues. And so there's a big plot against women. We hope that they understand what is being cooked behind the scenes. Now, then look at these facts. Let's look at Islam. What I mentioned right now was something. Let's look at the Islamic point of view, which was established how many years ago? How many years ago? 1400 years ago. Allah said clearly, لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَ. Surah An-Nisa, ayah 32. Men have a portion of that which they earn, and the women have the portion of that which they earn. So Allah gave each of what they earn their own property. Men have their own property from what they earn, and women, the man doesn't own the woman and her property upon marriage. Who gets the dowry? Unless you're from India. Sorry. Who gets the dowry, the man or the woman? The woman. We have to change that, by the way. You guys have to do some serious islah back over there and really get the people back on track with this stuff, man. You know, I keep hearing wild things about if he's a doctor, engineers, like really, yani, big stuff. Passport? Oh yeah. Oh, he's British. More money, more fulus. However, in Islam, it's the other way around. The woman is the one who gets it. Allah said, وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ صُدَقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلَةً. And give the women upon their marriage their bridal gift graciously. Be graceful in it, and be also have some generosity in it, and be nice about it. Don't be all picky on it. Give them their bridal gift. That was Surah 4, Ayah 4. She keeps the property, she keeps the money, and if she has a job for whatever reason, she doesn't have to give her husband a riyal. Okay? And some brothers, may Allah guide them, here's what happens often, just so you will know. I get these emails all the time. Some born Muslim, ta'ban, yani far away from practicing. He goes to bank on a revert. A sister will revert to Islam, and he will pretend, and this is not once, this is tens of times I've gotten this email. He will pretend to be a righteous man. And he will marry this revert sister from whatever Western country usually, of course for him to get the green card or the citizenship or whatever that he's trying to get. And as soon as they get married, his real colors appear. And so now he doesn't pray, and he gets drunk, and he beats her, and some of them play the game where they make the sister pay half. He said, we'll split the bills, we'll split the rent, we'll split everything. And the lady doesn't know she's a revert to Islam. No one educated her. And she thinks that Islam teaches that a man and a wife have to share expenses. Many brothers, may Allah guide them, deceive women in this fashion. So let me help out the sisters here. For the future reference, you don't have to pay anything. You could if you want. Out of your own goodness. You may have some money. He's broke. And you love him, he's your husband, you have good relationship. Jazakillahu khairan. Pay, help him out. We're not discouraging assistance. But to think that you have to pay, no. And if your husband told you have to pay, again, no. If he can't afford it, he has to divorce you. You don't have to spend on him, he has to spend on you. That's the man's responsibility. So you know your rights. And the man has to know his rights and his limitations. Don't take advantage of these women. It is unlawful in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't lie against Islam either. Child support in the case of divorce. La qaddar Allah, the woman gets child support. And she has particular privileges even after divorce. During the time of iddah. She has to remain at home. He has to take care of her, feed her, clothe her. It's not like he divorces and say, go to your parents' house. It's not lawful. When the first talaq happens and she's in the iddah, she has to remain at home. And she has her full rights. Perhaps they will be able to get back to each other. So these are some of the rights which Islam gave you. So sister, know them, appreciate them. This hijab that they don't like and they can't stand, isn't it amazing that a woman can be in a bathing suit and this is her freedom to wear whatever she wants? And if a sister in France wants to cover her face, oh no. You're oppressing these women. Yani you understand how twisted these standards are? You can be naked, no problem, but getting dressed has become a crime. Covering yourself has become a crime. So sister, don't listen to them. That hijab is from Allah. And that jilbab is from Allah. And everything which Allah told you to do is good for you. Now, and when you die, and when you meet Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will appreciate the hijab one day. Even if people don't appreciate it today. Or, you can get along with them, and you can make them happy, and you can take off some of these some of these garments which Allah had commanded you to wear, but then you will see what's going to happen later on. And it's not going to be pleasant. And it's not going to be pretty. So the woman has to make that difficult choice. But if she does make the right choice, she will succeed. Otherwise, she will fail. Now they try their best to find anything in our deen which makes women look oppressed or mistreated. And by Allah's grace, we have an answer for every misconception they present. Every misconception they present, we have a silencing answer. But the fact is that they don't find all of them satisfactory. Isn't it? How many times you explain to the kafir, say, look, women have to wear hijab because it's ABC, okay? And polygyny, which is unlike polygamy, which having more than one wife, up to 4, is allowed in Islam because of such and such and such. And sometimes it does not register. They're not satisfied. And you think, oh, maybe there's something wrong with Islam because this is a nice guy. He seems to be, clean-minded. He's clean. His mind is clean. He's rational. He's intelligent. And I'm explaining to him logically this thing, and he's not satisfied. Maybe there's something wrong with Islam. Is that the case? Let me tell you something. Like, this person is not even satisfied with Allah. Allah to him is not satisfactory. You want him to be satisfied with the rulings of Allah? Do you understand what I'm saying? If someone has issues with Allah, he doesn't want to accept him as his object of worship. He doesn't want to enter into his religion. He doesn't want to follow his messenger. To him, Allah himself is not satisfactory. Do you think answers we give them will be satisfactory? No. Not necessarily. But that's none of our business. Allah is the one who guides them if they deserve to be guided. He will change their hearts if they want to make that change. Our job is to convey the message. Afterwards, catch you later. I'm out. But don't be modifying and changing for them. So, one of the favorite targets they have is the Prophet's marriage or marriages. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, specifically his marriage to young Aisha. Right? Sadly, they have succeeded in casting doubt in the hearts of Muslims. Even worse, some Muslims themselves object to this marriage by either saying, oh, it's from the Sunnah, and therefore I don't believe in the Sunnah, I'm a Qur'ani guy, and it's not on the Qur'an, so khalas. Or they say, no, the hadith must have been rewritten. The hadith doesn't really say that. There's miscalculation. It's not really this year, it's 18 years and this and that. And they play too many games because they're afraid to confront the disbelievers with the truth. And the truth is, I say to them, what y'all afraid of? What are you afraid of? Huh? What happened to you? Fear Allah. Fear Allah and know your intellectual limits. If you just can't understand it, just say, I don't understand it. Don't lie against the deen of Allah. This is very important to understand. Let's deal with some facts. And these facts are bitter for them, sweet for us. Huh? They're bitter for them. I mean those weak Muslims and hypocrites and the kuffar. But they are sweet to us because they are the truth. You know how many ahadith are there about the marriage of the Prophet ﷺ to Aisha at the age of 6 and the consummation at the age of 9? We have 7 ahadith in Bukhari and Muslim only. 4 ahadith in Bukhari, 3 in Muslim. This is besides Abu Dawood and other collections of ahadith. Okay? I'll quote one of them because of time constraints. And by the way, from among them, you will see how many were narrated by Aisha. Most of them were narrated by Aisha herself. If someone narrated about Aisha, we say there's room for some misunderstanding. But Aisha herself is narrating the hadith, like the one I will quote now. Aisha narrated, radiyallahu anha, that, where is it? That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was betrothed to her when she was 6 years old. And he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. And then she remained with him for 9 years. And the hadith is in Bukhari, volume 7, book 62, hadith number 64. Did you hear it? Huh? They were betrothed at the age of 6, yani engagement if you want to call it. Huh? Not the actual consummation. And the actual marriage was consummated at the age of 9. At what age they got married? 6. Are you afraid? Don't be afraid. They're afraid. They're unhappy. They're screaming now. Oh, how could he? Pedophile. This child molester. All the nonsense which their feeble minds tell them to say. But we will refute. بإذن الله عز وجل. Now, the second fact which we should be aware of is Aisha was which wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The third. Who was the first? Khadija. And she was his wife for 24 years. She was 40 when he was 21, some narrations 25, when they got married. So, according to scientists and people and physicians and whatever, the sexual prime time is that age of 20, 21, 18 onwards. And at the age of 21, the Prophet ﷺ was married to a widow. She had been married twice before him. She was 40 years old, and he remained with her for 24 years, and he didn't marry anyone until she died. Is that a sign of someone who has a problem as they claim? No way. Can't win on this one. After her death, the Prophet ﷺ was around 46. Who did he marry? Sauda. Not Aisha. Then Aisha came. And who was Aisha? Radiallahu anha. His best friend's daughter. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu wa ardah. The marriage was divinely ordained. Aisha narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her, "You have been shown to me twice in my dreams. A man was carrying you in a silken cloth and said to me, 'This is your wife.' I uncovered it, and behold, it was you. I said to myself, if this dream is from Allah, if it's not from the shaitan, if this dream is from Allah, He will cause it to come true." And the hadith is in Bukhari, volume 7, book 62, hadith number 15. So who did this come from? From Allah Azza wa Jal. It was Allah who revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he will marry Aisha radiyallahu anha wa ardaha. Refutations. These are facts. Okay? She wasn't the first wife. He had already been married for many years with only one wife who was older than him, alayhi sallam. Then he married another wife before he married Aisha, who was his daughter's his best friend's daughter. And what was the last thing? It was divinely ordained. Now, if you believe in a creator, you should then believe that it is He who decides what is right and what is wrong. Allah is the one who stipulates what is right and what is wrong. If Allah ordains something to be right, no one has the right to suggest otherwise. And if they did, then their declaration is as valuable as the sandwich wrapper which you throw away once you're done with the sandwich. Shall I repeat? Sandwich, you know that lousy, flimsy wrapper that annoys you because it takes so long for you to, it's like it doesn't want you to eat the sandwich. And some people fight with it. Finally you rip it off and you get access to that, 1 Riyal egg sandwich. And then what do you do with that wrapper? Throw it in the trash. And if someone told you to wipe your mouth with it, you wouldn't. Or keep it, you sure wouldn't either. Put it in your pocket, not this one. See how valuable that is? That's how valuable their opinions are. If someone is going to say something that to claim to be wrong, they claim in something to be wrong, when Allah said it is right, we just don't care. We don't care at all. Yet, in cultures where Allah's law is of no importance, in cultures where Allah's law is of no importance, cultural norms are what determine right from wrong. So violating the cultural norms will make you immoral according to them. If according to their culture this is moral, and you were to do something against it, you will become immoral according to their own standards of right and wrong, even if they're not involving the divine revelation in the process, which is the case in the Western countries and so on and so forth. So therefore the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his act was the norm. It wasn't only divinely ordained, it wasn't only right in the deen of Allah, it was even right in their culture. Had it not been right in the culture, believe me, we would have many statements from them about that marriage. Because they called the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whom they used to call as-sadiqul amin, sahirun, kadhab, majnoon, kahin, sha'ir, all of these. He's a poet, he's a soothsayer, he's a magician, he's a liar, you name it. They gave him all kinds of names. And it would have been suitable for them to add one of the ones they give him today, pedophile or child molester, wal-iyadhu billah, hashah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The kuffar of Quraysh would have made a big deal. Abu Lahab would have announced it. The Prophet married a young girl. You will not find anything, not historically. If they say we Muslims we hid them. There was such a reaction, and we kind of said, oh, this is gonna really make us look bad. Just throw it away. If they were to refer to history, historically they will find no objection among a single person at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was the norm back then. So what is their problem? In the deen of Allah, this is right. Because when was the marriage consummated? When she had reached what? Puberty. And we will see what puberty means. What is puberty? What is the benefit of having a menstrual cycle except that the lady is now ready to be pregnant? I mean, come on. And if anyone were to reject that, we'll say you're foolish. Foolish. Because this is a sign. It's a sign. Once that menstrual cycle is in effect, this young lady may bear children. Now if she is petite or weak or whatever, Islam takes that into consideration. She may not be able to do it, so then they will take it easy. But generally speaking, khalas. So they waited until she consummated the marriage, which means there was no relations before that. What is their problem? We have many problems, but we can't solve all of them. Allah musta'an. So let me tell you something else. Okay? Jim West, a Baptist minister, regarding puberty, he said, or the menstrual cycle, the wife was to be taken from within the larger family. This is now in Christianity. The wife was to be taken from within the larger family circle, usually at the outset of puberty, or around the age of 13, in order to maintain the purity of the family line. Either puberty or 13, which could be close. Now we know that the environment, the climate affects the time of the menstruation. So young girls living in hot climates, where it's very hot, tend to have their menstrual cycle sooner than girls who live in cold climates. This is already known medically, that there's that effect. So the point being, they said 13. Now, in the United States, this is considered rape. It's considered rape if she's under 18. It's simply not allowed. So they put the number 18. Number 18, time for you to smoke. And number 18, time for you to get married. You see how lovely that is? Very convenient for them. Then they said, it's a little too early. Push it another 3 years, you can get drunk at the age of 21. Man-made law. Never suitable. Because all these teenagers get drunk before the age of 21, and they smoke before the age of 18, and they never get married. Did you see how ineffective the law was for the people? Yep, because it's not from Allah. Had they been Muslims, they would have been nicer. He said also, this is another guy, Gerald Segal. He says, it should be noted, however, that in biblical times, females married at an early age. So puberty is defined as the age of period at which a person is first capable of sexual reproduction. This is how they defined it. The menstrual cycle is a time for sexual reproduction. Getting your period, according to the Women's Resource Center, getting your period makes a rite of passage for young girls entering womanhood. Once you get your period, you're no longer a young lady, you are a woman. More wisdom behind the marriage of the Prophet ﷺ to Aisha. Aisha's marriage to the Prophet ﷺ at an early age allowed her to be an eyewitness to the personal details of his life and carry them to the succeeding generations. By being both spiritually and physically near to the Prophet ﷺ, this marriage prepared Aisha to be an example to all Muslims, especially women, for all times. She narrated at least 2,210 ahadith. And she's second to Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu in terms of the number of ahadith narrated from the Prophet ﷺ. She was young, she was alert, she was intelligent, and he loved her sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And of course it goes without saying that the whole issue of child molestation and all this pedophilia is usually not in a marriage contract. It's usually a doctor who will molest a patient of his while her mother is waiting in the waiting room. As you hear all the time in the news, they discovered that he had a camera and he filmed hundreds of patients which he had molested. This is where the sickness comes. But for someone to propose and the father to give the daughter in marriage and there's a regular wedding and everybody knows and she has reached puberty, then they got married, is that the same? No, but see, when we don't know these facts, we get scared when they use these terms and they attribute them to the Prophet ﷺ. If we knew the facts, they have nothing to object to. They're guilty of the same thing, as I will tell you and show you later. The second wisdom, the marriage refuted the notion that a man could not marry the daughter of a man who he had declared to be his brother, even in the religious sense. Since the Prophet and Abu Bakr had declared each other to be brothers, the notion was done away with. This is demonstrating in the following hadith. Narrated Ursa, the Prophet ﷺ asked Abu Bakr for Aisha's hand in marriage. By the way, Aisha was engaged to someone before that marriage. FYI. To show you that that was the norm in their culture. Yani before 6 she was already engaged. And then she wind up breaking away from that engagement and marrying the Prophet ﷺ. That was the norm. So when he proposed, Abu Bakr said, but I am your brother. The Prophet ﷺ said, you are my brother in Allah's religion and His book, but she, Aisha, is lawful for me to marry. And the hadith is in Bukhari. Because everything the Prophet ﷺ said was a rule. Otherwise, if someone was your close brother, it's like, oh, akhi, we're so close, I can't marry your daughter. She's like, I'm like her father. This happens very often, by the way, in some cultures. I'm like her father. But you're not her father. She's halal for you. And because of that understanding, so he enters upon her because she's like my daughter, and next thing you know, yes. So you know where the problems begin. And the same thing happens in the Muslims. Oh, he's just my brother-in-law. Huh? He's just my brother-in-law. He's still not your mahram. But because of he's my brother-in-law, so he enters upon her. Next thing you know, she likes him, she doesn't like her husband. These things happen all the time. You don't get the emails. And praise Allah that you don't get the emails. I get them and I get devastated. These things are happening all the time when people violate the limitations which Allah laid down. Because whatever Allah laid down is the most suitable. Thirdly, the marriage did away with the pagan Arab superstition that you shouldn't get married in Shawwal. And some of them still have it until today. So the Prophet ﷺ, he got, the betrothal was in Shawwal and the consummation of the marriage was also in Shawwal. So anyone who had that kind of superstitious belief had to do away with it. Now some people say, the Christians are the biggest people to criticize the Prophet ﷺ. But let me quote something from the Bible. Deuteronomy, chapter 21, verses 10 to 14. Check it out. It says, when thou goest forth to war against your enemies, or thine enemies. Let me read the Old English. Thine enemies. And the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seized among the captives a beautiful woman, and have a desire unto her, that thou would have her to be thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and after that you may go into her and be her husband, and she will be your wife. But if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go. And after you try it out, if you don't like it, then you go your own ways. Otherwise, you can keep it as your wife. That's the Christians for you. This is, by the way, the war captives. This is regarding the war captives. And the list goes on, but the time doesn't allow to elaborate. But anyways, that is, and there's a lot more in the Bible about Moses being sent, and they were to kill all, animals, goats and oxes, and the only thing they kept for themselves were the virgin girls. Only the virgin girls were kept for them, 32,000 of them. So all of these are found in the Bible. So if they want to claim about decency, then their book doesn't really teach much of that. So we go back to the note cards, if there are any. Actually, they are done. So in other words, sister in Islam, what you need to be aware of is the following. Who's got it like you? Really? If you were to compare yourself to every other woman out there, no one has got it like you. You are the one who's protected from the time of birth until the time you pass away. Allah ensured your protection as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a woman in the society. Allah ensured your protection in all means possible. Because of the difficulty in traveling, specifically back then, a woman were to have a mahram with her to protect her. A woman were not to be left alone with a man who may attack her. A mahram had to be with her, no seclusion. And the list goes on and on and on. And what counters that is the Western ideology of liberation, which claims to be giving you something that you have been deprived of, or to liberate you from these Islamic chains. But the truth is, don't look far. Don't look far. Look at the world today and see what has happened to the women of today. Look how she has become abused, how often she is raped, how often she is insulted, how often she is undermined. Is a woman in a mini skirt treated the same way as a woman in a niqab and a hijab? No. They may mistreat the woman in the hijab because they can't be like her. Because they hate how brave she is. That even though everyone is against her, she still wears the hijab. But they will treat the other one as garbage. Believe me, as garbage. But sometimes even with garbage, you have to take it out nicely. If you grabbed your garbage and you threw it off the window to make it in the dumpster, it will be all over the place. So they smooth talk you, and they sweet talk you, that they care and they love only to obtain their objective. Afterwards, you are in the trash. And if push comes to shove and it's time to look for a wife, you're not it. I'm speaking to the Muslim ladies. Among the kuffar, some of them are like animals, everything goes. Everything goes. But the Muslim sister, be careful, those with boyfriends, those who go out with men and see them, don't be fooled and don't be tricked. It's a conspiracy. A man is a man. No matter what his tongue says, his brain is the same. He was created in this way. And you have to know this. So know your limits, respect yourself. Don't be fooled by them, and see how Allah Azza wa Jal will bless you in this life and in the life to come. It really boils down to this. Do you want Jannah or not? That's it. There's nothing after that. If you want Jannah, there's a price to pay. And that price is sacrifice. That price is sacrifice. If you don't want Jannah, then you're free. Do what you like, but you will not get Jannah. Don't ask Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah Jannah after you did not do what Allah wanted you to do today. And the same goes for men. We can ask for Jannah if we don't strive and we don't make our own effort in the same way. So ask Allah Azza wa Jal to enable our Muslim woman to comprehend her value and how precious she is, and so that she can act accordingly, and then to help us men help them in this process and give them their due right as opposed to oppress them. And we ask Allah to guide those who have been misguided among the women of the world to understand what Islam has to offer them as opposed to what is being done to them today in the name of liberation. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to aid our Muslim brothers and sisters in Syria who are suffering a great deal nowadays. And even though we feel like we're incapable of doing anything, we're able to do many things. And even if we fail them, Allah will not. And even if they are outwardly suffering, inwardly they're winning. In fact, they could be winning more than we are, because we are relaxing here and they are getting paradise left and right. Those who die in the cause of Allah, or those who are killed in this fashion, they have already done their job in this life and they're ready to move on to the next. We still have a struggle to deal with, and we have a responsibility regarding them. So who's getting the better end of the coin? Very often it is they. So with that struggling and suffering, Allah has not forgotten them in the sense that Allah Azza wa Jal has purchased from the believers, Jannah, so that they will struggle in this life, and they're doing the struggle while we are not struggling at all. So we ask Allah to forgive us and pardon our shortcomings for in regards to our brothers and sisters in Syria. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد.